probably rooted in our ancient desire to emulate as closely as we can the birds of the air. When airplanes became weapons, mastery over their movements became a literal matter of life and death. Perhaps just because we are who we are, the quest for excellence, the need to determine the best of the best, is continuous. Hello from Oklahoma City and welcome to an Ultimate Flight Special, the World Aerobatic Championships. I'm John Nicholson and this is the Olympics of Flying, the 18th World Aerobatic Championships and the second time only it's been held on U.S. soil. We have 80 pilots from 21 countries, all here to prove, both in a team sense and an individual sense, who is, in fact, the best of the best. Speaking of that, I'm joined by Tom Poe-Beresny, who is president of the Experimental Aircraft Association, a former member of the World Championship team, and a U.S. National Unlimited Individual Champion. Now, Tom, we know about air show aerobatics, barnstorming, but competitive aerobatics is something different.
Absolutely, John. I guess you could say from an air show and competitive standpoint, the only thing in common is you're doing aerobatic maneuvers, but instead of flying for an audience, you're flying for judges. You're putting together individual maneuvers that are very closely watched, and you're doing it in a three-dimensional box: ceiling, floor, and sides. If you go outside of that box, you're penalized. So it should be a great competition, John.
All right, Tom, thanks. We're also joined by Don Taylor, who's been involved with international aerobatics for years, has flown aerobatics, and has judged many international competitions. Don, you got here before the start of the competition. Tell us what it was like in terms of the mood and what we should be looking for here.
Well, we had a chance, John, to go out to some of the practice sites. The teams are practicing all over Oklahoma, and we were fortunate enough to visit a couple of these sites. We went to the French camp. They are, in fact, the reigning world champions. We went to the Russian camp, and we saw an awful lot of really good flying, and I'm looking forward to watching them here in the championship.
All right, Don, it's going to be a great competition, so let's get right to the action at the World Aerobatic Championships. And this is Svetlana Kapanina of Russia, 27 years old, her first World Aerobatic Championships. We're watching the known compulsory flight, Don Taylor, in a way like gymnastics or ice skating.
Right, except in this one, John, the pilots are going straight up and straight down at the earth, which adds a dimension that you don't have in those other sports.
They're in a box 1,000 meters long, 1,000 wide, 1,000 high. What about G-forces here?
Well, the G-forces are very high, especially when you hit the high speeds on the pull-out. Whether you're pushing or pulling, it's going to be hard on your head. +8, probably 9, and -8 as well.
Wow. Now, you've got to do exactly what is prescribed here. Let's take a look at this routine, Don.
Right, and Svetlana is really flying this airplane very, very well here. She's flying it very aggressively, and I'm sure she's going to impress the judges. There's 3/4 of a 4-point roll going right straight up. She's going to cap this off with a hammerhead turnaround at the top, kicking full rudder there, pivoting the aircraft around its vertical axis, now coming right straight down with a quarter roll on a 90-degree down line, another one of those high G pullouts to level flight once again.
I haven't seen a mistake yet.
There have been very, very few because she's really flying very well. This is the 4/8 of an 8-point roll on a 45-degree upline here, now pushing around, coming down again on a 45-degree down line, and then she has another maneuver to do there, a snap roll coming up. There it is, a 1.5 snap roll to inverted, and it really looks very nice. Held the line very well. Now she's out upside down with a half roll, followed by a half loop, and at the top of the half loop, a full roll back to inverted once more. 2/4 of a 4-point roll coming up here. There they are, beautifully done. Double snap roll in the opposite direction, and that completes the flight, and a very nice one it was, John.
Indeed, there is Svetlana Kapanina waggling the wings to tell the judges she has finished a very impressive routine in her Sukhoi 26.
Aerobatic competition consists of 3 flights. The first is the known flight, which everyone knows well in advance. It's well practiced, everyone flying the same sequence of maneuvers. The second is the freestyle. This is a personal decision in terms of how you design it and develop it based on a list of pre-qualified maneuvers that have to add up to a certain level of difficulty factor. The last flight is the unknown. The unknown consists of maneuvers picked by each individual country and put together into a sequence that nobody has ever flown before. You receive it hours before the flight and have a chance to study it, but you cannot have practiced it in advance. That's the flight that separates the competitors.
Here's U.S. National Aerobatic Champion Mike Goulian strapping in for his known or compulsory flight. That's next when we return. The World Aerobatic Championships, brought to you by McDonald's. Have you had your break today? Canon, so advanced it's simple. EAA, the Sport Aviation Association. Back at the World Aerobatic Championships in Oklahoma City, this is Mike Goulian, the current U.S. national champion, taking off in his German-made Extra 300, Don Taylor.
Right, and Mike is one of the best hopes for the U.S. team as far as winning the gold is concerned. He's been practicing very hard and working with some of the top European trainers to polish his skills for this championship. He's drawn an interesting position to fly here. This will be the last flight of the day, which can be the best of times or the worst of times, depending on whether the judges are tired or not, because it is a great time of day to fly the airplane.
And judging is so critical here.
It certainly is, and Mike comes over the top there on this particular maneuver. He's headed right straight down now with a 1 1/4 roll, very well executed and a very nice downline as he pulls out into level flight once more. The judges are looking to see if everything is straight up and down, if the lines are straight, if the maneuvers are centered in the line, watching very carefully for any flaws that might appear in this flight.
Again, this is the known compulsory flight, so you have to do exactly the way it's drawn out.
Exactly, and now he's into the rolling circle, which requires that you do 4 rolls in 360 degrees of turn, and you have to hit all the cardinal points. You have to be sure that the altitude remains the same, the roll rate and the turn rate remain constant, so it's a very difficult maneuver to fly and a tough one to judge as well.
He seemed to go up there just a bit, Don.
A little bit of variation in roll rate there, and probably a little variation in altitude that might score him down just a bit.
Mike is 28 years old, out of Arlington, Massachusetts, was competing in International Aerobatic Club competition at 17, the youngest ever to do that.
Right, he's been in the sport a long time for somebody as young as he is. Now we're watching him at the top of this hammerhead turnaround here as he brings the aircraft around right straight towards the ground once again. 1 1/4 outside snap here to bring the aircraft into a cross-box maneuver to correct for the wind, John.
And there is teammate Robert Armstrong looking on.
Right, now Mike's back up to the vertical once more. Looks like 3/4 of the 4-point roll, going right straight up. This will be capped at the top by a hammerhead turnaround once again. Let's watch it as it turns around here. The aircraft has to pivot around the vertical axis, right straight down once again, and a 1/4 roll on the down line, coming out positive in front of the judges.
Does it look sharp to you?
It looks real good. I think Mike maybe has flown better flights than this, but it looks like he's doing a real nice workmanlike job on this flight as he does the 4/8 of the 8-point roll on the 45-degree line, pushing across the top. And then on this 45-degree down line, we have a 1 1/2 inside snap. Well done, right on the line and out in negative flight here in front of the judges. Half roll, followed by the half loop once again. Full roll at the top. A little rushed on the loop there. 2 points of a 4-point roll to upright flight, and then a double snap in the opposite direction. That finishes the flight. A very good flight, but perhaps not as good as Mike can fly.
How good? Let's ask Mike.
It felt very, very nice. It was a good, stable flight. It wasn't perfect, but it definitely puts us in a position to be in a hunt for a world championship in the next couple of flights.
American pilot Patty Wagstaff is a major story here at the World Contest, as she so often has been throughout her great career. Patty's been a U.S. national aerobatic champion 3 times and has competed in 6 world contests, as well as the Breitling World Cup of Aerobatics. Patty has announced that this will be her final world contest. She'll retire from competitive aerobatics to focus on air show flying and TV and movie work. Everyone in this game knows that Patty, a personable, charismatic flyer, is also a fierce competitor, and she'll want to leave a mark on this, her final competition.
I think you know when it's time, and I've been doing it for 12 years. It's really, it's very intense. It takes full time, and I'm kind of tired of being the one that, you know, the prima donna. I've always got to be in training. I can't devote my time to people that come to see me at these things, and I want to, you know, I want to be a little less focused. I'll be doing air shows and continue with some movie work that I do, stunt flying for commercials and TV, movies, things like that, and whatever other opportunities come my way.
But first, there is another takeoff at the World Aerobatic Championships for Patty Wagstaff and her Extra 300S.
Right, and she's into a 45-degree down line here with a snap roll on the line, coming out into level flight now. She's got a pretty high energy flight going here, looking very good on this flight. Now she's up in the vertical, getting set up for a hammerhead turnaround, kicking the rudder at the top, bringing the aircraft back down, and an outside 1 1/4 snap roll, a little softer than the judges would probably like to see. Might not score as well as she'd like. Here we have her in the 45-degree line again with the 4/8 of an 8-point roll, pushing around, capping off, coming back down, getting set up for the 45-degree down line, which requires the 1.5 inside snap once again. Good snap, good line, perhaps not as crisp as she would have liked it.
He liked it, apparently.
I think he did. And there's a double snap roll, and that finishes the sequence for Patty.
That's it.
Next, Patrick Paris and Dominique Roland begin their defense of the French World Team title.
Automobile accident.
Mills and Willie.
Personal injury.
Mills and Willie.
Workers' compensation.
Mills and Willie.
Disability claims.
Mills and Willie.
When you need an experienced lawyer for your injury or accident claim, call Mills and Willie at 1-888-340-HELP.
A free phone, free activation, and no monthly access fee for the first 2 months. Now that's something to talk about. A free phone, free activation, and for the first 2 months, no monthly access fee. Plus service packages as low as $15.95 per month. Come to Car Sounds and Security, an authorized agent for United States Cellular. We'll give you something to talk about.
Car Sounds and Security, 'cause our business is on the line.
10 doubleheader on ESPN2. First, Coach Barry Alvarez and the Badgers invade East Lansing, where they'll meet a Michigan State squad looking for revenge. Then, Michigan hopes to keep the Little Brown Jets safely in Ann Arbor as they try to contain Minnesota's offensive onslaught. Wisconsin, Michigan State at 12:30. Michigan, Minnesota at 7. Saturday, only on ESPN2.
The French are the reigning World Aerobatic Team champions, but their individual men's and women's gold medal winners have retired.
It's always very hard to be the aim of the other countries because we are winning since we have won since 1919, and it's very difficult to be at the top.
Still, the French are certain to be in the hunt for team gold medals because of the presence of 2 world-class champions, the incomparable Patrick Paris and Dominique Roland. The aptly named Patrick Paris has been French national champ 7 times, European champion twice. What a flyer, Don.
Right, he's got an awful lot of contest experience, John, and he's always a very steady and consistent performer. Very cool under pressure and seems to handle himself very well. And he's flying the airplane very well here, too. As he pulls up this time into a 45-degree line, there's a 1/4 roll left, 3/4 roll back to the other direction, pushing around the top here, coming back down again on a 45-degree down line.
Patrick claims he's 22 years old. We kind of doubt it. Dominique Roland is 39. Here he is, Don.
And he's on a vertical up line. There's a 1.5 roll, pushing now out into positive flight once more, getting set up, 45-degree down line coming up here with a roll on the way down.
And Don, you talked with Dominique about a major setback for the French team. Fire destroyed the Cap airplane factory, which makes the French planes. It destroyed Dominique's airplane.
It was 6 months ago, 6 or 7 months ago, and we still do not know who is a criminal. But the fire created many difficulties for the company. My own airplane was destroyed, and now the company has fought into bankruptcy, and now is running under Chapter 11 since 1 month. It's quite recent. So the fire had many effects on the factory.
Russia has 3 experienced stars: Viktor Shamail, Elena Klemovich, and Nikolai Timofeev. And here is Timofeev taking his Sukhoi 26 into the box, going at it hard, Don.
Coming out of a 90-degree downline with a 10G pull, and now right back up into the vertical once more with a half roll. Now across the top here, he has to do a 3/4 loop, coming out into level flight once more. He's really flying the airplane very hard and making it look very, very good.
Nikolai is 38 years old. He's a pilot and instructor with the St. Petersburg Aero Club. That would be St. Petersburg in Russia, by the way, not in Florida.
Exactly, and there's 2/4 of a 4-point roll as he goes up on the 45-degree line. Now once again, right straight down, another one of those high G pullouts coming up. Out into level flight once again, getting set up for another up line. Right straight up into the vertical with another high G pull-up.
He looks really sharp.
He's really doing a beautiful job. There's 3/4 of a 4-point roll. He has the airplane laid out in plan form here, seen from the top so the judges can see it very well. Kicks around in the hammerhead at the top. Now a quarter roll, 90-degree downline, beautifully executed. He's really doing a very nice job on this flight.
This guy has over 1,800 aerobatic hours logged, so he certainly has the experience.
Exactly. Here's the 4/8 of an 8-point roll. He missed the 3rd point just a little bit, but that's one of very few flaws that we've seen in this flight. As he pushes around, getting set up for the 45-degree downline once again, and this is the 1.5 inside snap coming up here. There it is, beautifully executed, really nice. And right on line. Pushing out into inverted level flight again, the half roll, pulling around, completes the half loop, very nicely done. Full roll to the right. 2/4 of a 4-point roll to the left. Now a double snap to the right. Very crisp, very positive. I'm sure that's going to impress the judges.
The Russian team has come into this world contest in a swirl of controversy. Earlier this year, one of the new state-of-the-art Russian aerobatic airplanes, the Sukhoi 31, had a structural failure which resulted in the death of American aerobatic pilot Rick Massagee. The investigation into the accident is ongoing, but there's been a difference of opinion among team members about training in the Sukhoi 31 as opposed to the well-established Sukhoi 26.
Sukhoi 31 is kind of next version of Sukhoi sport airplanes, and it has more capacity, more performance than Sukhoi 26. It's lighter, it has better rudder control, it has better flick roll, snap rolls. We like it better, and it's why we fly it.
Both of them, Sukhoi 26 and Sukhoi 31, quite excellent planes. But you know, it's, any construction have positive and have negatives. I would like to fly in Sukhoi 26. I like this plane.
Reportedly, that point of contention has expanded into questions of leadership and training techniques. We'll just have to see what effect, if any, all of this has on team performance. Here is Elena Klemovich flying the 31.
With a 1.5 inside snap roll to inverted on that 45-degree downline, and now a half roll to upright, pulling around into inverted flight and a half loop. Elena's flying her favorite aerobatic steed, the Su-31, but perhaps not as well as she would like. I've seen her fly a little bit better in this. She may be a little bit disappointed in the results of this flight.
She was the bronze medalist overall in the Worlds 3 years ago, and she won the gold in the known and the freestyle back then.
Exactly, and she's a very experienced pilot and usually flies very, very well. She'll be disappointed, I think, at this flight.
Now in the Sukhoi 26, Russian Viktor Shamail.
And Viktor's pulling the aircraft down to a 90-degree downline here. And on the downline, a 1 1/4 snap roll, bringing him out across the box here, right out in front of the judges. Viktor's the 1995 European aerobatic champion, but he's a newcomer to World Championships, having flown in only one contest before this one.
As a matter of fact, Don, he lists his occupation as teacher.
Yeah, he's a teacher of aerobatics. That's all he does. Full-time aerobatic instruction in Russia. Here he comes around the top, and we have a 1 1/4 inside snap, a little positive.
Viktor Shamail. And as we take another look at Svetlana Kapanina, we'll tally up the results of the known compulsories and have them for you when we come back. We're back at the 18th World Aerobatic Championships in Oklahoma City. We have completed the opening round, the known competition. Don, you've got the results right there in your hand. How do we stand after the first round?
Well, unfortunately, the U.S. aerobatic team is not doing as well as we would have expected. The top U.S. pilot is Patty Wagstaff at number 11 overall. Diane Hakala is at 13. Matt Chapman is the top U.S. male pilot at 15. And grouped from 16 through 18, Michael Goulian, Linda Myers-Morrissey, and Phil Knight. A very disappointing result for the U.S. team. No surprise, however, with the Russians, Nikolai Timofeyev winning the gold, and in second, Dominique Roland for the silver, and Patrick Paris in the bronze flight. A surprise to all, however, is the finish of Svetlana Kapanina flying in her very first World Aerobatic Championships, and she has won the women's gold medal.
Now, the medals we're talking about here are only for the known competition. Tom, the folks who did not make it into the top 10, what do they have to do now to get moved back up?
Well, John, as you know, first of all, this competition consists of 3 flights, so there's a lot of flying left to do. The first 9 competitors are only 110 points apart. Now, these are the world's best pilots, and there are not going to be any major errors in the freestyle. The key is fly consistent. Don't try to make up all the points at once. There's a lot of flying left to do.
This is not your first gold medal.
Probably not. It's my 3rd gold medal in World Aerobatic Championship.
Your flight looked very good from where we were. How did it feel to you from the cockpit? Did it go well?
No, in cockpit I constantly fight with my mistakes. So finally I have good result.
And congratulations on the gold.
Thank you very much.
It takes a lot of work to bring a world championship contest together. For the pilots, there is intense preparation. They're in training year-round. It's complex. The teams need high-powered, world-class aircraft, a controllable airfield with an aerobatic box, experienced coaching, and a lot of luck with the weatherman. Fairly scoring a contest, which by definition is judged subjectively, requires both judge and jury.
The international jury is composed of people from all different nations, 5 different countries. We supervise all of the key areas of the contest, such as the flight line operation, the judges line, the computer, the meteorological observation service, and the boundary judges. We're here supervising the event to make sure it's run in accordance with all the appropriate regulations.
The way it's scored, we assume each maneuver is going to be flown perfectly, which is 10 points. Everything's out of 10. And for each and every error we see, we take 1 point off per 5 degrees. Obviously, each category of maneuvers has to be flown in a certain way, and that's pre-stated. The judge has to know what the basic figure will look like. But every small error he sees, he deducts the points, and you end up with a score. So you start with 10, you start deducting.
It all leads up to the final 10-minute practice flight in the actual world contest box. During these flights, the most attentive spectators on the field are the contestants themselves. For the first time since the last world contest 2 years ago, they have a chance to assess the skill levels of their opponents and to silently begin the inevitable comparisons to their own. And there's one other agenda peculiar to the American squad. For the first time, the Hillard Trophy will be awarded to the highest scoring American pilot in the contest. The trophy is named for the great Charlie Hillard, the first American to ever win an absolute overall world championship.
The most important thing I can do for them, I think, is to keep distractions away and to make absolutely certain they have a plan. All of the eventualities have been rehearsed many times, but it's just a reminder of who they are, and this has happened before, and to try to get them steadied down, you might say.
For the most part, the Americans are fielding a veteran squad. 8 of 10 pilots have world contest experience. You've met the U.S. national champion, Mike Goulian, and the incomparable Patty Wagstaff. Robert Armstrong, a professional pilot from Athens, Georgia, is a veteran of the 1992 and 1994 world contests. He's flying an American-made plane, the venerable Pitts. Matt Chapman, an airline captain, is flying the French-made Cap 231. Ellen Dean is flying her 4th world contest. The computer analyst from St. Augustine, Florida, flies the German-made Extra 300L. Diane Hakala from Phoenix, Arizona, would be flying her 2nd contest had it not been for an accident in 1994.
This is the first time I've attended a world competition, yes. The last time, 2 days before the United States team practiced, my engine quit over the desert and broke my ankle and broke the airplane. So unfortunately, that devastation is over, but I'm so happy to be here and to be flying well.
Diane flies a custom Staudacher 5300D. Phil Knight is a former U.S. national aerobatic champion with over 1,400 hours of aerobatic flying experience. He was a member of the 1992 and 1994 U.S. teams. Phil flies the German Extra 300. John Lilberg is an aerospace engineer from Boynton Beach, Florida, flying his third world contest for the U.S., flying the Extra 300. Debbie Reen Harvey is an airline captain for Southwest Airlines. She's from LaPorte, Texas, and this is Debbie's 7th world contest. She's had more than 1,700 hours aerobatic flying. She'll be flying her custom-designed Texas Hurricane in this competition. Linda Myers-Morrissey is flying a French Cap 231. The wife of U.S. trainer John Morrissey, Linda is flying her 8th world contest. She's had gold medal flights in the 1984, 1986, and 1988 contests. These are the 10 pilots who carry the American hopes into the freestyle round. We move to the freestyle round next. Back at the 18th World Aerobatic Championships in Oklahoma City, John Nicholson along with Don Taylor and Tom Poberesny. You're looking at France's Patrick Paris, and this is the freestyle, Don.
And even though it's called the freestyle, John, there are certain maneuvers that are required. You have to have a tail slide, you have to have a spin, you have to have at least a 180-degree rolling turn, inside and outside snap rolls and hammerheads, etc. And here's Patrick laying his aircraft out, coming around here, 45-degree downline. And there's a 1.5 outside snap, followed by a full roll on the line. Very nicely done.
I mentioned earlier, Patrick's been European champion twice. He's never won the Worlds, though. He was 3rd after the first round here.
And we're now watching him as he pulls up for the tail slide, one of the required maneuvers. The aircraft has to fall the right way. You'll notice the pendulum effect. That's not a judging criterion. They're looking for the vertical line up, vertical line down, and the aircraft falling in the pre-specified direction, either canopy up or down.
Again, judging is absolutely critical. It's not always how well you fly, but how well you are perceived to be flying.
Exactly, and Patrick's showing the aircraft very well there as he goes up across the box, doing a little wind correcting maneuver and showing off the Cap 232 very well to the judges. Here he's on a down line, a 3/4 roll. That's going to bring him back onto the X-axis right out in front of the judges once more, getting set up probably for another vertical line. There's a double roll on the horizontal, now pulling up to the vertical once again, clear on around, over into a half loop, followed by an outside snap roll on the top.
Très bien.
And the audience seems to be enjoying it. There's another half roll. Now back to the vertical once more. Full roll on the upline, very nicely done. Very nice line he has there. Patrick's going to try and improve on that bronze medal that he got in the first program. 45-degree downline, inside snap on the downline. Beautifully done. Held the line very well, out inverted now. And that completes the sequence for Patrick.
Kind of a fancy wing wag there, just one waggle and then back up to upright. But Patrick Paris apparently has kept himself in good position for a medal here at the World Aerobatic Championships. Now let's take a look at Russia's Viktor Shamail, who was 5th after the first round done.
And he started at the top of the box and he's diving straight at the earth. There's a 2-point roll coming right straight down and a high G pull out at the bottom. Now right back up to the vertical once more for Viktor. And a 1 3/4 roll, showing the aircraft off to the judges there. This will be followed by a hammerhead here at the top. Kicking around at the top with lots of rudder. Now headed right straight down once again. Hitting these 90-degree up and down lines beautifully. He's just not missing these lines. Flying very, very well in this flight.
Teammates there apparently suitably impressed.
I think they were. Here's an outside 1.5 snap roll on a 45-degree downline to upright, beautifully executed by Viktor. Now here he's bringing the aircraft around for a 5/8 inside loop. He's going to finish inverted here. Let's see what's coming next.
Let's see, along with Svetlana Kapaina on the ground.
And he's got the aircraft pushed up into a vertical line. Setting up, looks like another hammerhead turnaround. Yes, there's the kick at the top. Beautiful up and down lines here. He's really doing an excellent job of showing off this Sukhoi 26. A roll and a half straight down, just not missing any of these lines. Let's watch the flying for just a minute here. Two-fourths of a 4-point roll going straight up. Pushing the aircraft over the top once again on a 45-degree downline. And a double inside snap. Very crisp, very precisely done.
Elena Klimovich is impressed.
And I think we all are with this flight. It's really looking very good. Here we go back around again, half of an inside loop, 2/4 of a 4-point roll, a 1.5 snap roll to inverted. And let's see, here we go, the roller coming up.
This is the tough one.
Right, has a very nice roll rate, very nice turn rate, hitting all the cardinal points. There's half of a roll, another half, and finishing after 270 degrees of roll. And it looks like that completes the sequence for Victor, and a very nice one it was.
Very impressive for Victor Shmail. Came in 5th, could be moving up. Can the Russians duplicate their first-round sweep? Nikolai Timofeyev and the pilot who's got everybody here at the 18th World Championships talking, rookie sensation Svetlana Kapanina, next. The World Aerobatic Championships, brought to you by McDonald's. Have you had your break today? AeroShell. EAA, the Sport Aviation Association. He was the gold medalist in the compulsory round. If he repeats here in the second, it'll be nearly impossible to stop the Russian juggernaut. It's Nikolai Timofeyev in the freestyle. Nikolai Timofeyev, first in the knowns, now trying his hand at the freestyle.
And he's going to be seeing if he can repeat that performance, John. He'd like to have another gold medal in this flight and really help his team out. We're watching him come across the top here of a 3/4 loop at the top of a vertical line out into horizontal flight. He's flying very well, as he always does. Here he goes into the rolling circle. Let's see how this goes. First roll's pretty good. Nose is pitching up and down just a little bit here, and a little variation of the roll rate. There's 3/4 of the maneuver with 3 rolls completed. The judges are looking critically at this, evaluating the performance. And there he's completed that. Now back up to a vertical line once more. Let's see what's coming next. And it's the tail slide. Aircraft slides backwards, little pendulum effect, right straight into the down line, and pushing out inverted. Right out in front of the judges as Victor Shmail looks on. Back up to vertical once more, half roll. Pushing across the top. Back down to the 45 once again. And a double inside snap. Very well done. Nice snap roll, held the line very well.
But he's going to have to do this extremely well to hold first place, because we've seen some other very good performances already in the freestyle.
He will indeed. He may be a little bit disappointed in his finish on this one. And there's the wing wag, completing the flight.
Now, the big story here at the World Aerobatic Championships here in Oklahoma City has also been from the Russian camp. Svetlana Kapanina, here in the cockpit, never having competed in the Worlds before, came in first in the known the opening round. Quite a performance for this very attractive young woman. Can she do it again?
We'll have to see, John. She's certainly going to give it a try. She flies the aircraft very aggressively, and here she is into her performance once again, up on a vertical line, and looks like we're setting up for a spin here. Let's watch the aircraft. There we have a 1.5 upright spin from upright. And that turns the aircraft around, brings her back in front of the judges once again, flying the aircraft very aggressively, as she always does.
Kapanina is from Siberia, though she trains with the Russian team in the Moscow area. The National Aero Club is there. By the way, she got started at age 19 and is now 27 years old.
Here she is, headed down once again with a 1/4 roll, pulling out across, a little bit of a wind corrector here, taking her away from the judges temporarily, and then back to the vertical.
Looks pretty sharp.
She's flying very well. These up lines and down lines look very, very nice, and she's flying the aircraft very aggressively, very hard, very precisely, which I'm sure is going to impress the judges.
She seems to have a terrific feel for that airplane.
For somebody with as little flying time as she has, she really flies the airplane well. Her career as a gymnast prior to this has probably been of benefit to her in her flying.
Tremendous sense of balance, tremendous sense of movement.
Double inside snap there on a 45-degree downline looked very, very nice. Back up to the vertical once again, and let's see what's going to happen here. Now the power's coming off. It's the tail slide.
You can see the prop slow there.
And it's a stick-back tail slide. The nose falls through forward and right straight down once again. I think the judges will like that one.
Beautifully executed.
There's a roll and a half to upright. She's bringing the aircraft around now into a 1/2 loop. And at the top, a double roll. And the audience is loving this performance. Now we're back to the vertical once again, and the vertical lines that she's drawing for the judges here today look very, very precise. There's a full vertical roll going up, and the line was beautiful.
She just seems to have it all here, Don.
Exactly. She's really got a good flight going. There's a double snap roll, very precisely done, followed by a half roll to inverted, and then right into a half loop from the top. Full roll at the bottom. And that completes the sequence, and it's a very, very nice one.
Svetlana Kapanina, has she done it again? She's certainly right up there in the money. We'll wait for the result. The Russians seem totally unaffected by their internal rift. Can the Americans still rise to the occasion? The final flights of the great Patty Wagstaff after this. Thursday morning has dawned without the benefit of sunshine once again here in Oklahoma City. Not good weather for flying, just 2 full days of scheduled flying left, and we are in serious danger now of only getting in 2 rounds here at the World Aerobatic Championships. But the winners would be determined based on 2 rounds, both team and individual. So Tom Poporesny, does that favor one over another not having the unknown flight segments?
We're here at 8:30 in the morning on Thursday, and if they aren't starting the finals of the remaining freestyle pilots for the next 2 to 3 hours, even if the weather got good, chances are they're not going to fly that 3rd flight and probably go right into the 4-minute. And you know, for the top competitors who have practiced for years now, they've done their known and their freestyle and so on, to really prove if they're the best, they have to have that opportunity to fly that unknown.
Another unique feature of these contests is the warm-up pilot, generally a world-class aerobatic flyer who is not competing.
They invited me here as one of the warm-up pilots. Before each program, to warm up the judges so that it would be more fair for the first contestant, they have a pilot go out and go through the same routine that they're going to be flying.
Well, Gene, after this long weather delay, how do the conditions look right now for flying?
Well, they're great. It's cool, and it really must be 6,000 feet.
What about the wind conditions?
Wind's pretty calm. A little bit of drift to the west, but the conditions are really good.
So we can resume. It'll be Patty Wagstaff's turn, finally, when we come back. Patty Wagstaff, alone with her thoughts that if Tom Poporesny's right and there's not going to be any unknown flight, this would be her last flight during the World Aerobatic Championships. Patty, who has flown so well for so long, may have it all on the line right here as she takes off for her freestyle routine. Don Taylor.
And she's going to try and make this really a good one because, as you say, it may in fact be the last flight. We would hope not. Here she is into a vertical line, first maneuver, double roll, going right straight up, looking good on the start. And it looks like she's setting up for an inverted spin here. Yes, that's what we have. There's 1.5 turns, and the 90-degree downline following the spin looks very, very nice. She's got a good start here.
Patty 11th after the opening round, but trailing well behind Svetlana Kapanina, who again did well earlier in the freestyle.
And here we have a double roll at the top of a half loop, and she's starting into the rolling circle. Let's see how it goes for her here. Nose pitching up and down just a little bit. Little variation in roll rate there also. Probably the cobwebs of not having flown for 4 or 5 days are going to affect all of the pilots that have to fly after this long weather break.
Again, we've had a series of delays along the way because of the weather.
There she's finished the rolling circle. Probably not the best one she's ever done. And the critics in the gallery are watching here, they know that this is a very dramatic moment for her as well.
Well, she's done so many so well. 3-time U.S. national champion, not just women's, overall.
Exactly. 3 times consecutively, and that certainly proves what kind of a pilot she is. 3/4 outside snap on the down line, coming out positive once again right out in front of the judges. Here she is coming around the last half of an inside loop with a double roll at the top, a half roll, another half roll, 1.5 inside snap to inverted, little bobble on the recovery, probably a little downgrading there. I don't imagine Patty will be quite as happy with that flight as she would like.
But it may very well be her last one at the Worlds. Now taxiing out Russia's Oleg Polyansky. He was 14th after the first round, the known. It's critical here, though, for the team standings that he do well, because he could be the 3rd guy to score for the Russians, Don.
As you say, John, he is, in fact, the 3rd man on the Russian team. And even though he's 14th, he'd like to fly a really good flight and move up into the top 2 or 3, which will help his team to win. And he's got a very high-energy performance going here as he does a double roll after that half loop. Now coming back around in another half loop, half roll at the top, another half roll, 1.5 outside snap to upright. Flying the airplane very well here.
Flying the Sukhoi 31. He is 30 years old, and he has twice been overall Russian champion.
And working this airplane very hard. We could see it break away just a little bit as he pulled up for this tail slide. And he's got a good one going, a stick back tail slide. Lots of pendulum effect, but as we said, no judging criteria there. Looking very well with a half roll coming right straight down and pulling out into level flight again, once more right in front of our judging line.
Looking strong, appearing to get the strong performance he needs to help the team as well as himself.
Exactly. 1.5 rolls going straight up on that vertical line. Now he's setting up for the spin. And it's a 1.5 turn positive spin. And he's going to push out inverted on the recovery on this maneuver. Pushing up once again, about an 8 or 9 G negative push up here. Nothing going on in this upline here. Plain vanilla upline. And there's the kick at the top. Lots of rudder going around, and the hammerhead turnaround, heading right back down again once more. 3/4 roll, coming out towards the judges this time.
Translating energy.
Exactly. Got to conserve the energy as you fly. Back up to the vertical again, a 1/4 roll, another 1/4 roll, another 1/4 roll, 3/4 of a 4-point roll on a vertical line, and another hammerhead turnaround. Straight down once more, gathering lots of speed for the next maneuver, 1/4 roll, and out into level flight. Oleg's got a real nice flight going here, and that concludes the flight.
And so now, in both the Russian and the French camps, the question is, what will the judges say about his flight, and what will they say about this man's flight? Dominique Roland of France, he was 2nd after the known. If he can win the freestyle, he would probably put himself into the overall championship and take his French teammates with him. That's a big if.
He's had a really tough break on this flight. He was one of the first pilots in the order of flight and had a mechanical, had to land, was allowed to refly, now is flying one of the very last flight performances in this program. The cobwebs have really got to be thick in his head because it's been a long time with the weather delay since he's flown. He's flying pretty well. There's a double roll on the 45-degree line, now pulling the aircraft back around the top. Coming back down, straight down at the ground. Good snap roll, a little high on the line, pushing out inverted now. 2/4 of a 4-point roll, followed by a half loop, double roll at the top. Inside snap roll as Patrick Paris looks on.
Dominique is a test pilot by trade, lives in Bernay, Normandy, and he was 5th overall at the last Worlds.
And here he goes into the spin. It's a 1.5 upright spin. He's going to recover an upright flight for a turnaround, bring him once again back in front of the judging line.
Another teammate, Eric Vazet, looking on. This has got to be, we say, a great flight, Don. Is it so far?
Not as good as he's capable of flying. There's a few ragged edges here. The cobwebs are probably showing a little bit from all of the layoff that he's had. Here's the tail slide, and he's cheating quite a bit just to be sure that the aircraft falls the right way. And of course, he'll be downgraded a couple of points for that.
And that could very well be the difference as the French try to defend their championship. It's going to be very difficult as he wraps up the routine. We'll be back with the results of the freestyle right after this at the World Aerobatic Championships at Oklahoma City. The World Aerobatic Championships, brought to you by McDonald's. Have you had your break today? Canon, so advanced it's simple. EAA, the Sport Aviation Association. We're back at the World Aerobatic Championships. We have a decision on whether to fly the unknown. Let's go to Tom Poberesny.
I'm with Carl Whittle right now. Carl, what's the status on the third flight?
Tom, I've just talked with Mike Huer, president of the international jury, and we have run out of time, so the decision has been made to cancel the unknown flight.
The scratching of the unknown round gives the Russians a clean sweep at the 18th World Aerobatic Championships here in Oklahoma City. Viktor Shamail takes the men's gold, young Svetlana Kapanin of the women's, and that's more than enough to unseat the French and give the team championships to Russia. And that will just about wrap it up from the 18th World Aerobatic Championships. Before we go, though, Tom Poberesny, your observations.
Well, I think, John, there's two things that came out of this competition. One, the mental aspects. As I said earlier in this broadcast, everybody came in physically prepared, and that was giving me a mental preparation that's going to be key. And after watching the weather situation and the long delays, the mental part of it really came to play. Second thing was the Americans' home field advantage. Was there really one? In talking to many of the competitors, they felt there wasn't, because this was such a well laid out site that for many of the people coming from overseas, they adapted to the site very quickly. And I think the Americans lost some of the home field advantage of being here. It was great to be with your supporters, all the enthusiasts and so forth, but we lost a little bit by picking such an excellent site here in Oklahoma City.
All right. And Don Taylor, from your standpoint, what have we learned?
Well, I think we've learned that aerobatic competitions attract uncharacteristically bad weather as we look at the gray skies of Oklahoma. And I think we've also learned that it's going to be very difficult for even a well-trained and a well-practiced U.S. team to compete against countries that do nothing but fly aerobatics the year round.
Next time, 2 years from now in Slovakia. For now, for Don Taylor, Tom Poberesny, in the cockpit, Gene Soucy, I'm John Nicholson. Thanks for joining us.